Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, and today I'm going to bring you guys my review on the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing line. Today I have the foundation, concealer, and the powder, as well as the Hanatsubaki face brush here. Now, as most of you guys know, I do work for Shiseido, but I did pay for these three things myself, and I was gifted this brush from the Shiseido team. So I wanted to give you guys my honest thoughts. I have been testing these out for around 2 months, maybe a little bit longer for some other products in here, and I want to give you guys my full thoughts and opinions on them. To start off the video, I want to mention that I am a normal skin type. I will insert my full morning routine here in the video just so you guys can see what I put on prior to my makeup. Now, the Shiseido line doesn't have a primer for the self-refreshing line, so I just decided to go in with my Touch in Sol No Poreblem primer just to prep the skin. Because Shiseido launched an entire new line, the self-refreshing line, they wanted to focus on three things primarily, which is going to be heat and humidity, oil, and movement. So all of these are going to work great under all of those three conditions. For the foundation, I am in the shade 340 Oak. I was actually a little darker during the fall season when this launched, so right now it's just a half shade a little too dark for me, but it still works out. It still has a pretty nice yellow undertone to it, and I feel like it matches me pretty good. I think out of all the foundations in my collection, I feel like this is the closest to my skin tone. This foundation claims to have medium buildable coverage, the finish is supposed to be fresh and natural, and the biggest claim on this foundation is that it's supposed to last 24 hours. Although I didn't test this foundation for 24 hours, I still wanted to give my review based off of my experience in the past few months as well as today where I wore it for 8 hours. Shiseido is known for their amazing SPF, and this foundation in particular has an SPF of 30. So with my experience in this foundation, I feel like I have to pair it with a mattifying or pore filling primer in order for me to feel like it works its best. I feel like if you use a hydrating primer underneath, it doesn't look as good as it should, because this does claim to be like a natural finish foundation, but when you do a hydrating primer underneath, it kind of just looks a little too dewy and a little too glossy. Right now it has been 8 hours, and I feel like my skin right now is at the point where I love the finish. I love how if I turn my face, I have that natural glow to me. I do love the fact that this also claims to not settle into your smile lines or crease as much, and I definitely see that in my smile lines, and I will zoom up and I'll show you my whole face after I talk about everything here. But for the foundation in particular, I feel like I only need 2 pumps for my full face, which I feel like is pretty normal as well, and I enjoy the lock cap. So stunning, so innovative, we love that. As far as the texture on my skin, it literally feels so lightweight. Is it the most lightweight foundation? No, because I feel like my #1 placeholder right now for that position is Urban Decay Stay Naked. That one to me is just like, so nothing's on the skin, you know? But I feel like this one is a second, because when you are applying it and once you add the powders and everything on the skin, you kind of do feel your face, but then as time progresses, suddenly it just gets more and more lightweight, which I feel like is kind of odd, because with a lot of other foundations and a lot of other base products, you start feeling more and more and more oily, greasy, disgusting. But with this one, it's kind of the exact opposite. So I really appreciate that about this. I find myself really loving it whenever I am just trying to have like a natural face day. It does last a pretty long time, but like I said, if you are pairing this with a hydrating primer underneath, it is gonna look really greasy at the end of the day. It's not gonna hold up as well. I forgot to mention this, but they have 30 shades in this foundation range, which is amazing for Shiseido. I don't know if you guys have seen their old foundation range. It literally had 12 shades of beige. Like, I was a golden 4 in their older foundation, and that's literally like the second to darkest shade. And I don't think that's okay. So I am so glad that now my actual foundation color is in the middle of the range, which is amazing. I love that. I love that they expanded it. And you know, from other reviews that I've heard from other influencers on YouTube who have reviewed this when it first came out, it seems like a lot of people like it, from lighter skin tones to darker skin tones. I feel like it is very inclusive. So I am loving the fact that they have 30 shades. Do I think that they can expand? Of course. But I feel like 30 is a great start, and all we can really do now is wait for them to expand their shade range, because this is an amazing foundation. The next item that I want to talk about is the Self-Refreshing Concealer. As you guys know, this is one of my favorite items in 2019. I have the shade 202 Light. Now this one claims to have a medium to full coverage and a natural lasting finish. This also is going to last you for 24 hours, and it's the same claims as the foundation. It also provides hydration and controls oil for up to 8 hours. So this is going to be more of like a lighter weight concealer, but it also will offer you full coverage, which is what I personally really like. I do find that 202 Light is a little too light for me, but honestly, I make it work, and I love the effect that it gives me, because right now I'm looking for a really bright under eye, and I feel like this is the only concealer that'll do that because it's light enough. So this is definitely hitting a lot of points for me. It actually does look really small when I'm holding it up, but rest assured it does have 0.19 fluid ounces, which is a standard amount for a concealer. I feel like the bottle is just shorter and a little bit more chunkier than a slimmer tube of concealer. The shade range for the concealer is just a little bit less than the foundation. This is going to have 16 shades, which I feel like is still pretty good, honestly. I feel like anyone can kind of fluctuate between concealers, because you're really only using it to brighten up the under eye or spot conceal, or if you like cream contour, you could just go in with a contour shade. So I feel like concealers are a little bit more flexible in that aspect, as opposed to a foundation where you are literally trying to match your face to your neck. I should note that with any concealer, I do have natural lines under my eyes and I will crease, but it doesn't bother me as much. Like, it's not an insecurity of mine, but whenever I am testing out concealers, I always like to mention it, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, it's creasing under the eyes, and I'm like, well, that's normal for me. You know, I feel like there are some concealers that minimize the creasing, and then some concealers that emphasize the creasing, and I feel like with this concealer, it does claim to be crease resistant, and I do find it to be a little less creasy than normal. So compared to Tarte Shape Tape, that one I feel like is my best concealer for the under eye area, because my under eyes literally look so snatched. I feel like compared to Tarte Shape Tape, this comes in a close second, because it creases just a little bit more than Tarte, but there are definitely some concealers on the market that definitely just like create the entire line. Right now my line is going only halfway, so that's a good sign. As far as the base makeup is concerned, the powder is going to be the last item that I am mentioning, and this is going to be the Invisible Silk Loose Powder in Radiant. Now they do have a matte formula, but I just thought Radiant sounded like a good time, because I have so many matte loose powders that I wanted to try something different. And I was kind of into the whole Jaclyn Hill glowy highlighter, but that also sets your face, and I thought that this would be a great alternative for some odd reason. So I got the Radiant version. I also decided to apply this with my Hanetsubaki brush. Now this is great for applying powder, but I know a lot of people actually use it for foundation, liquid foundations. If you love to use powder foundations, I feel like you'll really love this brush. When I'm at work, actually a lot of people are looking for this brush and are wanting to buy it, and I've sold out a lot of these. So this is definitely one that is really popular right now. As far as me and for using it, I feel like it's great, it's cute, but I am not the type of person to really apply foundations or powders with a kabuki brush in general. Like, that's just me. I'd rather apply it with a sponge. I feel like it just locks everything in. I don't see my foundation transferring back on the brush. It does do a good job at picking up powder and setting my face with it. Do I recommend the brush? I don't know, but if you are someone who solely just uses powder, then definitely go for it. Or if you're into like the body glow, this is a perfect brush for that. Like, it's the perfect density. This powder is so finely milled, and I feel like on the skin, it just gives you like a healthy glow. I have tried to love the Hourglass ambient lighting powders, and I just felt like it was too shiny for me for some odd reason. Like, it just never worked out, and I feel like this gave me the effect that I wanted. It mattified my skin, but it just gave me this luminous glow from within look, and I feel like now that the night is over, my skin just looks absolutely glowy and stunning, and that's exactly the look that I'm going for. Like, this face right now is the Jasmine face. Now, I feel like the only con with this powder is that it has a mesh guard, and I just don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like I'm always dipping back in for more. And I feel like if they had like just like the regular holes that you could dump into the cap, I feel like that would be great. But at the same time, I feel like they purposefully put this there so that we don't waste the product. And when I was learning about more of this product behind the scenes, it just creates like this guard. So if you are traveling and if you are scared about, you know, anything leaking, it's harder for it to leak. So I'm shaking it, and oh, it really doesn't leak. This powder also claims to have no flashback, so let's check. Okay, so let's go in and show you guys what the end of the night looks like. I should move my bangs, huh? So this is the skin. I love how dewy and radiant it is. I did bring the radiant powder all the way up here, so it's a lot glowier than I normally am. This is an area that I never get oily in, so that's definitely not oil. That's definitely dew and glow from the powder that has now settled in and that has now been melted into the skin. I also did not do any setting spray, so nothing was making it sink into the skin. This is all everything just by itself. I highly recommend the concealer if you're gonna get anything. The concealer is absolutely amazing. I feel like because it is short and stumpy, it's able to fit in any of my makeup bags. I just really love the brightness it gives. I love the applicator, how it's like a 8 shape. It's just so nice, and a little bit does go a very long way. I also recommend the foundation if you're looking for something super lightweight. This does retail for $47, so it is a little bit expensive, yes, but I feel like the average price for a high-end foundation is $45, so you're only looking at $2 more. This does come with the little stopper here, which I find so amazing, and it's just so sleek, honestly. Like, look at this. So sleek. Then I want to recommend the Radiant Powder. Realistically, I am not using a Radiant Powder every day in my makeup routine, but this is so amazing whenever you want that glow from within look. Honestly, I just love the way my skin looks today. I have never brought it up this far, but honestly, I think I'm living for it. And the fact that it actually locks in the makeup and I don't have any transfer and I could just freely touch my skin. If I'm also comparing it to another glowy powder, what is it? The Laura Mercier Glow. I did not like that. I felt like it was very heavy. It was too pearly on me. And I just feel like this just gave me what I wanted. It was just so light, very similar to just a regular translucent powder, but just like a dust of pearlescence, and that's just exactly what I needed. Finally, I don't know if I am going to recommend this to anyone who has a similar face routine as I do. I know if you love loose powders, if you love body glow, if you love powder foundations, definitely get this. Like, if you are a powder fanatic, then definitely look into this. But for my personal, routine, this is just a brush that I would like to look at. I don't know, I feel like she's so pillowy and she's so soft, but I just don't know if she's gonna be like an everyday for me just yet. If I do happen to use it every day, of course I'll update you, but I think for now she's kind of like on the edge of like me just not recommending it to anyone who has a similar routine as I do. If you are also wondering about my eyes and lips and face, I will have a routine coming up next. So the next time I upload, you will see this tutorial. As always, I hope you guys found this review very helpful. I hope that I gave you enough information, and if I missed anything at all, as most of you guys know, I will list that in the description box below. As always, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye! Peace out, Girl Scouts.